AI Q&A. Anmol's going to start presenting his screen now, and then we'll get kickstarted on the presentation. So thank you everyone for joining. If you've not joined one of these sessions before, we are of course recording and we are live streaming. So if you get disconnected at any point, you can head on over to our YouTube page. Anmol and Nick here are going to provide some updates on our product. And then we're going to move into Q&A session at the end. If you do have any questions throughout, we have Kevin in the chat helping out. So you can write some questions to him in the written Q&A at the bottom of your screen. Otherwise, there'll be opportunity to come on stage towards the end. Before we get kickstarted with the AI updates, just a couple of other events that I wanted to shout out before we got going. So as always, next week is going to be another one of our town halls. So that's June 26th at 12 p.m. Eastern time. And someone in the chat, Adam, is leaning on the keyboard. By the way, Adam, you're sending many messages in the chat right now, just FYI. So town hall next week. So that's kind of product updates from across the business with time for Q&A. And then we have another masterclass coming up next week as well. And that's focused on the short-term rental market and the state of the market in the North America region at the moment. So that's going to be a nice event that we're doing with key data. Should be a nice summary of how things are going there. And then just one other update from me before we move on to the product updates. We are doing a bit of a roadshow in October. We're going across 4 cities in the US, and we're going to basically hosting in different breweries in different cities. And that's going to be an opportunity to meet some of our hosts in person. We're going to have some of our partner companies there as well. It's going to be a fantastic opportunity to meet some of the company. So we hope to see you there. Scan the QR codes now if you want to get your ticket in advance. And I'm now going to hand over to Anmol to update.
Thank you, Miles. Hey everyone, so I'm Anmol. I've been working as a senior product manager at Hospitable, leading the charge on all things AI for a while now. AI has been essential for Hospitable for a while. Some of you probably know that we have used AI to power your question detections ever since before even ChatGPT was a thing. And as soon as generative AI technologies became a thing, we started empowering your inbox as well. So with this presentation, we just want to share some of the few things that we have done, some of the few things that we are going to be working on, and obviously taking on questions as well. The first thing that I wanted to talk about is ongoing goals. And we just wanted to put a focus here in terms of how we view AI helping you guys, and obviously how that ties into the feature set that we have launched so far. So our ongoing goals right now are help our hosts spend less time answering frequently asked questions. And obviously with that, the idea is we want to gift you your time back. So you shouldn't be spending a lot of your time answering the same questions again and again. We have powered your inbox with features like Suggest with AI and Improve with AI. That gets you closer to that, but we are going to be improving these features as well as even including more features in the future that would basically help this get taken care of automatically. The other ongoing goal that we have is we want to help our hosts build better relationship with guests. And this is part of the journey that we took on when we initially launched guest experience with messaging rules, review rules, and so on and so forth. We wanted to make sure that you delight your guests. And as part of that goal, we have shipped some AI-related features as well, to the tune of guest summaries with AI, reviews with AI, and review replies with AI as well. We do have some future goals, but I think we can focus on them later. So how about we just go ahead? So as I mentioned, generative AI technologies became a thing in, I would say, early 2023. And since then, we have been empowering your Hospitable inbox as well. We first launched our feature Suggest with AI in April of 2023. And what it has been helping you do is it's helping you give suggested replies for questions about your property, any rules, your policies, reservation details, and more. And with this, the idea has always been that all you should be doing is clicking just one button to be able to get a reply suggestion that you can obviously edit before sending, but the AI should be able to do all the search required for you to actually answer that question. That's been live since 2023, as I said, but we are still making improvements to this feature. In fact, just last week, we shipped some improvements to this feature that's now helping it answer questions related to early check-in and late checkout requests as well. Moving on, improve with AI. That's a feature that we launched just like a few months after we launched Suggest with AI. And with this, we wanted to make sure that you can write your own messages, and we would improve on it based on all of the technologies that are available to us. One hidden, I guess, hack with this feature is you can literally write bullet points in terms of what you want AI to write in the text box and click on the Improve with AI button. And it's going to take all of what you've written, all of what you want within the context of the conversation. And it's actually going to expand that message, improve that message, fix any spelling mistakes, and so on and so forth. We've seen a lot of hosts actually love this feature just because it gives them the flexibility of having some personal touch, but also obviously not having to spend time writing a big message. Now, this is a recent feature that we shipped in your inbox as well. So with this, the goal is get summaries. We want to help you get helpful insights about your guests, about what they like, about what they dislike, and if they have any unique traits about them as well, that can help you as a host craft a delightful experience for your guests. Uh, I've shared an example here, but I'm sure some of you have already seen this in the inbox. And with guest summaries, the idea has always been use the data that we are providing to you in guest summaries and see if there's something that you can pick up on. So for example, if you see that a guest prefers maybe cafes to work out of, you can recommend them cafes that are close to your place so they understand that there's a personal touch from the host there as well. This has been live for a while, and again, what we have seen is a lot of our hosts rely on this data now because they want to make sure that whoever they're talking to on the other side of this, on the other side of the conversation, they are getting a great experience with them. Now, once we started shipping some features for our inbox, a lot of our hosts were telling us, "What about guest experience? How can we embed generative AI into guest experience?" We started with some features. So reviews with AI. This is a feature that's now going to let you get 1 to 5 star reviews and private feedback suggestions using AI for your Airbnb guests whenever they check out. And all of this is going to be personalized based on the conversation that you've had with the guests. The idea here has been that this should work. This new feature should work with any active review rules that you already have in place. And it should also be able to help you push things in the right directions in the sense that if you don't have any review rules, if you were relying on manual conversation, reading that conversation, and sending a review, you shouldn't have to do that anymore. We want to gift your time back. So we are going to be crafting a review that's going to be personalized based on the conversation you've had with the guests. And then it's up to you to make edits to that suggestion before you actually publish that review. As you know, review rules are available for Airbnb only, and that's a limitation that we have with reviews with AI as well. So it's only available for Airbnb guests, but we are discovering other use cases to maybe bring this to other OTA channels as well. Similar to reviews with AI, we also made available review replies with AI as well for Airbnb guests. And with this, as you guys already know, Hospitable never had the capability for you to reply to a review from within the Hospitable inbox. So we not only introduced that feature, but we obviously embedded AI into that as well. So now if you have a guest that's left you a 5 star or a 4 star review, Hospitable is going to take that review, take all of the other conversation as context, and it's going to generate a personalized review reply to that review. Again, this is a feature that I feel like is being adopted more and more because obviously hosts want to get that engagement going and they want to make sure that these guests, they feel welcome back at the property if they want to book again in the future. Moving on, we want to talk about some of the things that are going to be coming up next. And these are things that the team is actively working on. And we are actually trying to ship these features like on a weekly or maybe on a fortnightly basis as well. So some of you might have seen in your account a new feature called Guest Experience with AI. And with this, what we wanted to do is with one click, we wanted you to be able to get the benefits of AI, which would be welcoming back repeat guests or like removing greetings and signatures from the messages. The idea was this would impact all of your messaging rules. And all you would need to do is, again, click that one button. However, after we ran a private pilot with some of our hosts, we got the feedback that people really wanted to control what went in their messaging rules. They really wanted to ensure that even if they were using AI, they should only be using AI in particular messaging rules and not all of them. So based on that feedback, we are now going to be pivoting from this approach to a new approach that we are calling smart codes. And with this, the idea is when you are crafting a new messaging rule, or when you're editing an existing messaging rule, you will now have smart codes that you can embed in those rules as well. And we're going to be starting with 3 smart codes right now. It's going to be greeting, upsell, and sign off. And the idea is simple. These are all AI powered. These are all going to be dynamic, and these are all going to be personalized. So if you add a greeting smart code to guest experience AI, we will detect whether a greeting is needed or not, what kind of greeting is more appropriate, and then add the greeting. Similarly, with upsell, we are going to be detecting whether your previous night was available or not to be able to offer an early check-in to the guest, or if you have a check-in at the same day as the checkout as well to be able to offer a late checkout. So all of this is going to be AI powered. All of it is going to take into account your hospitable calendar data as well as like any conversation data, and then it's going to empower your messaging rules. But it's highly customized. You decide which messaging rules you want to add these smart codes to. And we can't wait for you to try this as soon as we launch it. Now, coming on to our future goals. As I mentioned, like it's something that we wanted to talk about later on in the presentation. So one of our goals for the future is we want to help our hosts personalize their own AI. Obviously, right now we have focused a lot on accuracy and making sure that your time is saved. But we also want you to have your own voice when an AI is talking on your behalf. So we are going to be letting you decide which tone your AI should talk into. If you have any specific recommendations related to your property, we want you to be able to add that to Hospitable as well. And obviously, if you have custom policies associated with your properties, you should be able to add that to Hospitable as well to empower your AI and make it more personable. So those are some initiatives that we are going to be working on soon enough. And as we work on those initiatives as well, we are also going to be working towards these moonshot features. With these features, the idea is that a lot of what you do with Hospitable can help you automate your processes. So the first feature that we are going to be working on is Inbox Autoresponder. And with this, the idea is, let's say you are not available for a guest between 10 p.m. till 6 a.m. Hospitable should be able to just answer all of the questions based on all of the data we have. And this data is going to come from your property details. It's going to come from your policies. It's going to come from your recommendations. And you can also instruct Hospitable to not answer a few questions or to not answer questions on a few topics. So Inbox Autoresponder will be coming not soon, but and we don't have a tentative date right now, but it is something that we are working towards as we make your AI more personable. And Hospitable Copilot is our moonshot feature. And with that, the idea is you should have a Copilot in your Hospitable account that you can ask questions to, but also instruct it to do something on your behalf. So I don't know if you were in the town hall a couple of weeks back, but Nick, our engineer, he demoed a Copilot where you could just say to the Copilot that it should be sending messages regarding weather to your guests, and it would prepare an automatic message for you to send to multiple guests that are checking in for, let's say, in the next 3 days or something. So those are the features that we're working towards. Again, the goals are we want to help you spend less time on daily operations. Moving on, we are actually hiring as well. So the AI team is currently looking for a product engineer for us to join. Again, this is a very impactful role, and we want to make sure that whoever joins us, they are having a big impact on all of the features that we talked about as well. So if you're someone that has experience working on AI technologies or our tech stack, which we use Laravel, that would be great for us to have. So join our team. You can find all of our open roles on this link. You can also scan the QR code if you wanted to. And yeah, apply for the appropriate role. We can't wait to hear from some of you. And yeah, with that, I think we can get started with the Q&A.
Perfect. Thank you very much for the updates, Amal. So we're going to move into the Q&A section of the event. We do have some written Q&A already. We'll probably bring some of those on stage because I think they're good to kind of address wider. But if anyone wants to actually come on stage to ask a question, you can do so. So if you go down to the bottom of your screen and see the React button, if you click in there, you should see a raised hand button. If you want to raise your hand, we'll see that you want to come on stage to ask a question and we'll bring you up. So yeah, in the meantime, just taking a look at some of the questions in the Q&A, I'm on it. Cameron was asking if the AI understands our early check-in times. Early check-in rules.
Yeah. So right now we rely on your calendar data to understand whether you want to offer early check-in or not, whether that's an upsell that's even available or not. But as I mentioned, we are going to give you the ability to add custom policies. So that would mean you can have an early check-in policy written in Hospitable, and AI is going to use that policy to craft an upsell that's most appropriate for that particular guest. So right now we rely on your calendar data. So if the previous night was available, we assume that early check-in is also available. But obviously, all of this is for you to edit as you want. Right now, AI suggests you to do something, and you can obviously make edits to that as well.
Yeah. So there were variations of this topic asked in the Q&A that I've kind of answered one at a time. But just to recap, what we're calling policies, meaning all the internal rules and guidelines and instructions that you have for your property. We are working on that next as a major internal project, baking that in as an actual standalone kind of feature / product within Hospitable. And that will be used to feed all of the AI generated messages across the board, inbox and guest experience, with highly relevant, highly targeted information that is as relevant as possible to whatever the guest is asking at that moment. And that is how we can then reach a very accurate autoresponder for the inbox. And that will, like in this case, include, for example, check-in instructions, but it can literally be anything that is relevant for you, whether that's something to do with the swimming pool, with the AC, check-in instructions, check-out instructions, whatever.
Perfect. Sounds good. Thank you very much, Nick. We do have our hand raised, so I'm going to bring Kyla on stage to ask a question. Hello, Kyla.
Hi, thanks for doing this. I'm excited for the AI autoresponder. I was curious, since there's no ETA and it's probably going to be a little while, would it be possible to add a lockout question to the current questions autoresponders, so that if we have a guest that's locked out at 3 a.m, we can send them where the backup key is automatically?
Go ahead, Nick, you can take this
one. Short answer, no. We are intentionally not adding more work to the current question and answer kind of functionality within Hospitable to focus fully on what I just described in terms of policies. Now, you said not clear when this is launching. We are aiming for a launch this summer. Don't hold me to a specific date, but internally we have kind of set an expectation of let's say 2 months max for a rollout, but we want to be much sooner than that for a private pilot and then beta rollout. So it's not going to be too long out. Like, it's not something that you're going to have to wait for like 4 to 6 months or whatever. So hopefully, fingers crossed, you'll see something this summer.
I appreciate that. Wasn't sure if it was something that you could just easily add into the current question since that infrastructure is already there, or if it was a significant effort. So if it was easy, I thought it'd be nice if we could do that, but
yeah, if it was easy, yeah, like there probably would have been a lot of kind of scenarios like that and tangential ones that we would have added over time, but it is just always an effort that we don't feel is worth it, and especially now with the looming kind of rework of the way we're going to handle questions and the autoresponder. Yeah, so short answer, no, but stay tuned for a solution to that within a couple of months.
Great, thank you.
Super, thank you.
Thank you very much, Kyla. Okay.
Sean.
So Sean, yeah, invite you on stage.
Hey, Sean, how can I help you?
Hey, what's up, team? Big fan of everything y'all do, per usual. One quick thing that I'd request is whenever you leave a review now, instead of saying 1 star, 2 star, 3 star, 4 star, 5 star, it says excellent, good, okay. I think it'd be, we personally like screenshot those reviews and send them to guests. And we don't want someone to be like, oh, they gave us an excellent review, I guess that's a 5 star. Plus it's just easier for the team to, match up the exact review rating you leave on Airbnb that you would, in Hospitable. So just a small tweak, but I think having a 5 star versus a 4 star versus a good would be clearer, because that's what, all the OTAs use.
So actually, we show you both. So once a review gets published, and if you want to take a screenshot as well, that system message is available in your Hospitable inbox, where you can actually see the review. You can see whether any private feedback was added, and you can also see the star rating as well. And I think that would make, again, a great screenshot if you want to send that to your guests. The reason why we did the excellent, terrible, and all that scale is because we wanted our hosts to be able to understand that these are the prompts that are going to be defining your AI review suggestions. So it's much easier for a host to say, oh, I want to rate a guest terribly, and then get a review based on that. But yeah, that feedback is important. But I just want to highlight that star rating is also available in the Hospitable inbox as well.
Okay, sometimes I use a bit of a ninja move and I screenshot a 5 star review, but don't send it yet in case I haven't heard from the guests. And, that way I haven't actually sent it yet, but, I'm showing them I'm going to send a 5 star to maybe mute a bad review they leave, or just kind of have them reply and say, oh, of course, we'll leave one too. And then we know to actually send it.
That makes sense. For that, you can leverage our delay feature as well. So you can delay publishing a review before 14 days. And what that would do is, after 14 days, it's going to get published. But yeah, you can, within those 14 days, talk to the guest, send them a screenshot, or just tell them that you're going to be leaving a 5 star review.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah, I just wanted to give that feedback, but appreciate y'all. Keep up the good work.
Thanks for your feedback.
Thanks, Sean.
Thank you, Sean. Okay. There was one question that came up in chat from Mill as well. Which AI model / version does Hospitable leverage? I'm curious to understand.
We're using GPT-4o, so the latest version. And even though 4 Turbo, the previous state-of-the-art, is perhaps marginally better at following some instructions, what we've been seeing is that if the prompt is formatted, is structured well enough, 4o doesn't really have an issue with following instructions. There might be some edge cases, but we typically find those and work around them.
Yeah, and I think it's fair to point out as well that we're kind of keeping up to date with versions as they come out, right?
Yeah.
And acting on that pretty quickly.
Exactly.
Cool. Okay. So we have a question from Anna in Q&A as well. In the future, will AI have the ability to collect information such as HOA registration forms from guests and send that to a particular inbox?
Yeah, so it's a bit tricky. The thing is, with policies or a knowledge base that we want to build, you can tell the AI that XYZ form is important, and you should be collecting that data from the guest. Maybe you want to share a link from that for that HOA form as well within your policy. However, the thing is, the AI needs a question for it to act on it. Like we currently are not working towards AI just sending any messages. It would be interesting for you to maybe do this via guest experience as well. So in its current form, you can have multiple messaging rules that go before check-in as well. So maybe it's a good idea for you to send your, again, HOA form via a messaging rule. And yeah, once that filled, whatever conversation happens in the inbox, that is something that AI can take over. But if you want to send it to your guests first, I would say you should rely on guest experience messaging rules.
Yeah, and to add to that, either use the basically existing functionality to already send HOA form links. In the future, the way I can see this potentially working in conjunction with AI is that you might define a policy, and like I mentioned, the new product that we're building, to do with your HOA form. And given what you define there in the conditions, you specify the link that should be sent out, so that when the AI would actually detect that this is what is being talked about, it can send a message to that form to be filled in. So it's not like we would automate the entire process of gathering all the information within the conversation, but we would intelligently detect when that form needs to be sent out. But this is theoretical. I'm just kind of thinking out loud of like what we could be doing with the functionality that we're building.
Okay. Currently no more hands raised. So I encourage you folks to use the react button to raise your hand if you're interested in coming on stage. There we go, just like that. I just had to call it out. Justin, welcoming you on stage. Hello.
Hey, can you hear me?
We can.
Okay, well, I just want to say hi and say it also. I'm a Laravel dev. I applied.
Oh, hi,
Sorry.
Justin. Yes, I remember your name. Yes.
All right, cool. But I did have a question on Airbnb's public. Have they stated their position on vendor use of AI? Like, are we at risk of them saying, no, we don't want autoresponders to be a thing? Or are they saying that they're encouraging this direction or not?
Specifically, we haven't heard back from Airbnb on these things. The thing is, the direction that we want to take is we want to first like give our host the ability to train their AI. So for example, if a question comes in, they can tell us whether what essentially our guests have been doing. So every time they use the suggest with AI feature, they tell us whether a suggestion was right or wrong. We want to use that data to basically train a personable AI for their inbox. And yes, once we get to the point where like a host is comfortable having maybe 100% of their chats during the nighttime, I think that's the future that we want to go for. So it's always going to be the host that's going to be decide when that autoresponder is on and if they even want to use it in the first place. So it's not going to be something that we're just going to activate and there's no wait for you to go back. But yeah, in terms of like a public response, we haven't heard back from Airbnb regarding that yet.
Yeah.
Okay, got it. I mean, go ahead.
I mean, just to say, like very early on, Hospitable's kind of part of the vision was personalized guest experience at scale, and all the messaging rules that already have been implemented for the past like 6-7 years. Like in a sense, you can see that they're kind of in that ballpark already. Like they are basically templates that are automatically sent out all the time. So this isn't, yes, this is generative AI, but this isn't too far a leap beyond that. And like from our side, what we're doing is we're basically building in more and more constraints and safeguards to make sure that, you know, not just arbitrary content can be generated and posted, whatever.
Yeah, that all makes sense. And I mean, for me as a host, I look forward to the day where it's just on all the time because personally, I trust it enough to be able to do that as long as it's implemented right. I just hope that Airbnb doesn't one day say you can't do this anymore, because that would be, as a user or it would be really a bummer if I couldn't have all this stuff on when it's out. So I was just curious if they'd made a public statement on it, because I would think that they should soon, hopefully.
But that's a good point, actually. I'll raise this internally to have at least a chat about that. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you.
Thanks, Justin. And you will hear from me soon.
All right. Sounds good.
Thank you very much, Justin. Cool. So yeah, again, I'll do another call out Q&A. If you want to raise your hand, feel free to come on stage. It seems to work people magically appear when I say that. Anmol, Nick, any questions that you feel are easier to answer live from the written Q&A?
Yeah, so there's a question about whether hosts will be able to upload documents for AI to reference you. Again, the question talks about documents that live outside of Hospitable. So I'm assuming the question is mostly about PDF documents. So if you have, let's say, a policy document for a property, whether we will give you the ability to upload that policy document, scan it for all of your policies or anything, and then train your AI with that. Just wanted to touch on that and say that that is something that we're considering. In fact, like from the feedback that we've heard from our hosts, that is something that they want, because again, your local rules can change at any time. And for the most part, what we have seen hosts do is they have a PDF or like a document that they maintain, and every time a change comes, they improve that document or they edit that document. So similarly, we want to give them the ability to upload a document or a PDF, and just anytime an edit happens, anytime they edit it locally, they can just upload a new version, and that's going to train their AI to, again, make it more personable, answer more questions about different topics and things like that. So yes, that is something that we're considering.
Yeah, in fact, we talked about that very topic just a couple of days ago, like that exact thing. Yeah.
Nice.
I see a question from an anonymous attendee about search as well. Just to touch on that as well, I know it's not AI related. So that's a feature that we actually had live for a couple of months in our product, where like you could search for anything as part of the conversation, and it would again give you results, accurate results based on that. The thing is, what we saw is that not a lot of hosts were actually using that feature, and just to have that feature on at Hospitable, it was just costing us a lot of money, if we are being completely honest. So we decided to turn that feature off for now. That being said, there should be maybe a feature-based post that you can upvote. So if you hear the same feedback again from our host that they want to use that search or they want to have search like that in Hospitable, maybe we'll bring that back. I know for a fact that this is something that we also want to search with Copilot. So you should be able to ask your AI, can you show me every conversation that had uncomfortable bed in it? And then AI might be able to resurface it. But again, that's a big undertaking from a technical perspective as well. Is that right, Nick?
Yes, it is. But what we are in the kind of, we're nothing implemented, nothing worked on, but like we are thinking about what we can do in terms of one, sentiment analysis. So surfacing perhaps conversations with guests that are that need more attention because there's something there's some sort of negative, basically, emotion happening in that thread, as well as giving the AI the ability to pick up on maybe recurring trends. In the Q&A, it was like an uncomfortable bed, things like that. So rather than being able to arbitrarily search after the fact, proactively have a system that sees that, say, multiple guests have now raised the fact that there's an uncomfortable bed and somehow surface that either in the inbox or to your team. This is not clear, but this is something that we've also kind of touched on and are thinking about in the early stages internally.
Yeah.
Cool. Thank you.
So there's a very technical question from Christopher. So first of all, with 3.5 turbo versus 4.0, pricing is no longer a concern. So there's really no reason to be using 3.5 turbo anymore. In terms of agentic loops, right now there's no. First of all, to clarify for folks who don't know, agentic loops are an AI implementation where you have multiple AI models, one of them following instruction, another being a kind of manager that either sees if the other model is following instructions correctly and course corrects, or they're doing separate tasks and there may be a coordinator AI model. So it's kind of a more complex system to try and follow instructions much more precisely. What we've seen is that this is really not necessary for now. And what we will be adding is a kind of a final pass just to make sure that it's done what it had to do. It's very rare from what we've seen, and by rare I mean like single-digit percent cases, like close to 1% maybe, where it actually hasn't followed instructions. And we're talking about millions of messages. So this is very rare. For the most part, this is not necessary, but we are adding that as we're scaling up and working towards inbox autoresponder. So there will be kind of a safeguard step at the end to make sure that what's being generated isn't garbage, or it doesn't have like nonsense around the thing that it meant to generate. So no agentic loops, but something like it coming soon. All to basically make responses more accurate for the guests.
We have one person with a hand raised, so I'm going to invite Jonathan on stage.
Hey, Jonathan.
Hi, Jonathan.
Can you hear us?
We cannot hear you.
You're unmuted, Jonathan, but we can't hear you. Oh, there we go. Gone again. So, Anthony, inviting you on stage instead. Anthony's experiencing unmuting.
Hey, yes, 1 second, honey. Oh, hey, Miles. I did have a thought here, and I don't know if you guys, I came a little late to this, so I'm throwing it out there and wasn't sure if you guys had discussed anything like this, but there's a handful of extensions out there right now that do like a scraping of your reviews that you receive from guests, and obviously you guys are already ingesting that most often. Is there, in my mind, what I think could be really useful is kind of a regular report that shows where you're doing really well and where you could improve based on an aggregate of reviews. So you have 50 reviews, and like we were just talking about this is what prompted it when you guys were talking about like the hard bed or soft bed or whatever. Like, if the first one person says it, it's not a big deal. 2 people say it, not a big deal. 10 people say it out of 20, it's a big deal. So is there any thoughts on doing anything in that regard to kind of produce, I'm thinking almost of like a regular like monthly summary of sorts. It could probably live even in the metrics tab, even though it's not just numbers, but something like that. Is there any thoughts on that type of product?
So the thing is, there have been internal discussions, and rather than like putting that in metrics, what we want to do is surface like really important things to you in your Hospitable dashboard, where you can get an overview of like what your like daily operation is going to look like, or what are the things that you should be paying attention to. And we actually want to work not only off of reviews, we actually want to see like within the conversation, if there was, let's say, if there were multiple guests that said the same thing. Again, back to that uncomfortable bed situation as well. The thing is, beyond surfacing those, so beyond reporting that data to you, maybe we also what we want to do is embed that in your operations as well, so you can maybe create tasks for your team. So for example, if pool cleaning is something that might come off in, let's say, 10 conversations over a period of a few weeks, we can create, or we can surface that task to you that you should get your pool cleaned, and then within again, with a click of a button, you can assign it to a teammate, and as soon as that gets done, it goes away from your dashboard. So we are thinking about things like this, but as I mentioned, like right now we really want to work on like that delightful experience for your guests, and making sure that we are gifting your time back. And once we do that, yes, we want to bring AI into that operation side of things as well, which I think this talks about, again, with that report that is actionable for your operations team. So that will happen. But again, we are like really early stages in terms of like having talks about features like that.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much. Glad to hear that how you guys are thinking about it. I really like that approach too.
Yep. So like a lot of the things that have been raised in this Q&A, we have either thought about or already kind of working on. And that's one of the reasons why we're hiring another engineer, is that there's a lot that we want to do. And now we just need more hands to do it all, and to do it all faster.
Cool. Awesome.
Thank you, Anthony.
So yeah, thank you very much, Anthony. So Jonathan's back. We're going to try again. Jonathan, welcoming you on stage. Hello.
Hello, can you hear me?
Hi there.
Yep.
We can.
All right, great. Thank you guys. Just thank you in general for all the great work you guys do. I listen in a lot on all these, so appreciate all the great work. I had a general question as well. I have like a lot of processes and protocols. I have like a virtual team and they're following these documentations. And I was just curious, kind of big picture, where things are going with the AI in terms of personalizing it to the host in the listing and in a very specific siloed training kind of way. Like how would that be in the future where it can kind of replace us as people who have like looked at these documents and are following specific protocols and answering things?
Yeah, so this is, I mean, if I answered it correctly, this is pretty much what we are working on next, giving you the ability to make Hospitable the source of truth for everything related to instructions and policies and guidelines for your properties. And if anyone on this QA is aware, like basically this comes down eventually to semantic search, meaning that we are making available to the AI bits of information related to your property that are as relevant as possible to the particular message that is being crafted. Which means that if, to beat a dead horse now, if the guest is talking about an uncomfortable bed, you might actually have something written or somewhere in the PDF uploaded that talks about a comforter in the closet or extra like, or like, I don't know, another set of sheets somewhere in the closet. Mm-hmm. That can all be somewhere, that can live somewhere in Hospitable, either as a PDF document that you've uploaded that we have intelligently parsed and made available to the AI, or just as something that you've manually added as an extra instruction. And if the guest asks about that, the AI knows that that particular instruction or set of instructions is highly relevant, and it will include that in the AI kind of processing and be able to answer that question very accurately.
Oh, perfect. And that would be sort of siloed. So listing number one, it might say the comforter is in the top right corner of a closet. And then listing two, it might be in a bed drawer at the bottom, you know, and it would be siloed for each specific listing and use case.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. This gets, I mean, this goes into the same sort of territory as we do now, where you can scope messaging rules to different properties, right? Mm-hmm. This would be the same thing where you might have some policies that apply to all properties and some policies that apply to property A, B, but not C, and then another policy that applies to just C. And again, the system would intelligently know which one to pick up at any given point in time.
Okay, wonderful. And just a slight add-on, I just had a use case just moments ago where I was telling a member of my team, a guest asked, oh, is there a sofa bed in the listing? And she said, yep, as noted in the description, there is one. And I told her, oh, it's actually better if we get the Airbnb photo link of that specific photo showing the sofa bed. And I was just curious, is there any capability for something like this in the medium term or longer term where if you know all your listings with sofa beds, it's number 24 photo out of 41, where we can grab that specific URL and embed that in anything with the training of the AI, you know, whether it's a direct listing photo, you know, specific URL or a third-party OTA one?
Yeah. So images in all of this is probably not an initial kind of launch target. We are trying to constrain it enough that on the one hand, it is still highly valuable when we do launch it initially, but at the same time, we don't want to cram in so much that we then extend we move the goalposts so that we're working for the next 6 months on this thing. But like what you're saying makes complete sense. It obviously is highly helpful and quick just to show a photo rather than explain in a paragraph of text. So this is something we'll definitely be keeping in mind as we iterate on this.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I know it's it sounds somewhat simple, but it's just like a URL. But I totally agree with not adding too much, so the goalpost just keeps going down further.
I mean, URLs, yeah, like sorry, I didn't want to cut you off, but like URLs, that I'm pretty sure will be a launch capability. Like URLs in the message and the instructions will not be a problem. It's really about the images that makes it complex.
Okay, yeah, the URL specifically is how I've been using it. So just pulling in, the URL, which is specific, which when you go through each photo on Airbnb, for example, that's its own specific URL.
So
that's how I'm able to grab that specific photo of the sofa bed on the listing. And I kind of have all my listings standardized where, all the fourth photos, they're the subway, which is near the property. So it makes all our messaging consistent. Saying check the fourth photo. So that's great if the URLs are already going to be able to be a part of it. I already kind of have the photos all standardized where we can just maybe pull that in somehow if it's like the 14th photo out of a listing for every time. Awesome. Well, thank you very much.
I appreciate the feedback. Thanks, Jonathan.
Thank you very much, Jonathan. Sorry, my internet's a little bit slow on the unmute there. So we don't have any questions in the Q&A at the moment. So probably going to do a final call out for anyone that wants to come on stage, ask a question. Otherwise, we'll wrap up slightly early. But appreciate everyone's attendance. Good to see so many people keen to learn more about AI. I think it powers Nick and Amol to work even harder.
Yeah.
Well, there's a question from Sean.
Yeah, one more question from Sean here. Hello, Sean. Ooh.
You're muted.
Hello, Sean. There we go. Hello.
Yeah.
Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Yeah.
Sorry, I joined in a little bit late.
Right.
My situation might be just a little bit unique and may not apply to a lot of your audience, but do want to know. And I really wanted to say you guys do a great job. The never-ending development, improvements, and feature enhancement is the way to go. Many other companies can't even keep up with you guys. You do a great job. With this AI, the two very specific questions I have is, I started off with the Airbnb. Started in Galveston, Texas about 2 years ago. Did really well. Within 3 months, I still am super host, have a lot of 5-star reviews. And as I started learning and tried to build my own brand for the vacation rental, and I did a couple of changes, just consistently started using Airbnb, pretty much shut me off. Can't find my property, even if you literally bring your mouse over the map, which is the most interesting thing I've seen. I've even talked to the Airbnb support. And I have in some research why this is happening, found out it's happening to several other homeowners as well. That Airbnb algorithm, search algorithm, which they claim, here are the tips, you do this, you will get views. I monitor those views. Those views are usually 2 to 4. Probably most of them are mine. I'm checking my website. So not having reviews, which is what I posted from booking.com. I know most of your products are very geared towards Airbnb. And I think there are so many of folks like me who do not sort of bring any revenue from Airbnb. Booking.com seemed to be more promising. And I thought at some point Hospitable wanted the hosts to help establish their own brand. Therefore, the direct came in the picture. Airbnb is very anti-brand. At least that's what I gathered. And correct me if I'm wrong. But the moment you try to establish your own brand, they will hurt you in terms of showing up your listing in the search criteria. Of course, other factors are involved. So are there in AI, are you solely focusing towards the sort of the Airbnb integrations? Will you switch more towards booking.com? Because booking.com does not reject, ban, or the algorithm doesn't care if you're promoting your brand, sort of. The other question is, most of the AI products are coming up are more internal. Will you plan anything sort of external? Hey, this is how the guests are looking for. I know these portals provide those statistics, right? Like how many families are coming in and for vacation, how many couples, what are the trends? But those are sort of their internal portal research trends. And it seems like if there was a like an external AI feature that could bring, hey, these are the trends and this is what your listings are missing or improve. Is there anything that works for that?
So Anmol, if you can answer this, the second one. The first one I'll talk about. Our AI feature set is platform agnostic. We're not targeting like mostly Airbnb for the AI features. That's just not how it is. Mostly because in terms of messaging, so improve with AI, suggest with AI, and soon the autoresponder, it doesn't matter what platform we're on. We can generate the message, we can send the message. So that's not an Airbnb specific thing. Same with the coming policies feature. That will also be platform agnostic. We will be able to pull existing data from Airbnb as well as other platforms that you connect to. But again, it's not meant to be something that is platform specific. Reviews are a separate topic because that is then a territory where we're more constrained by the technical integration that we have with any given platform. For example, with Airbnb, we have very good access to reviews. With Booking.com, less so. With Verbo, even less so. That is something that we're always trying to improve, but there is a limit to how much we can do just on our side without also help from our integration partners.
And Sean,
I think this.
Yeah.
I can answer the second question. So you were talking about external features via AI. So the way we see that in Hospitable is that Hospitable has a few outlets for you to externally promote your brand. That can be a direct website, that can be the emails that you send to your guests, and it could also be like the reviews that are shown on your direct website as well. So a lot of it is direct focus, but the idea is like we want you to be able to improve your listing across all platforms, be it direct, be it Airbnb, be it booking.com. So in the future, maybe you will see things like features like improve my property details or improve my summary and things like that. And with that, the idea would be like we would, whatever you've written for, let's say, your booking.com listing, we are going to improve that at once, and then you can publish that to booking.com as well. Again, Hospitable is trying to be the single source of truth for all OTAs. That being said, these are one-off features. Like you would only improve your, let's say, listing summary once and maybe once a month. So it's not something that we are currently focused on just because we don't see it having a huge impact right now. You could obviously, even right now, you can go to ChatGPT and ask it to just copy paste your booking.com listing summary and ask it to improve it. So one-off features is something that we are not focused on right now. But yeah, when it comes to like creating a direct website, for example, what we want to be able to do is just you click on one and we use AI to create a direct website for you. Those are the things that we are more excited about. So it's obviously going to help make sure that you don't spend a lot of time working on your direct website. The AI can just work off of existing data. But maybe in the future, when we get to emails as well, like customized emails, maybe those are going to be created by AI as well.
I think also what Sean, if I understood correctly, might have been asking about, like, are there any plans from the product team, if this has been discussed at all, to surface like general trends that we see across our portfolio of companies in terms of like statistics to do with like family visits or I don't know, pet visits, whatever.
We haven't discussed it in that form, at least, because again, like a lot of this data is something that our hosts want to keep to themselves. So a host would need to opt in for us to like even use their data. We feel like that might end up like increasing friction for the host, and obviously then hosts also have to be knowledgeable about the fact that their data is going to be used in a particular way. So again, like we haven't had these talks in these exact same way, but again, as we launch more features, I'm sure like as we get more technologies, we will be able to analyze more data, and then we can obviously talk about features like this as well.
Hey, thanks for that information, guys. That was very helpful. And that just brings kind of a bit of another follow-up question. In my market, I'm seeing as Booking.com is heavily advertising in Texas area. I mean, not a 5 minutes go by when Booking.com commercial is not on all the local channels. So what I've started to see a lot of new bookers, and these new bookers are very likely either have been abandoned or banned by Airbnb. So yeah, it's a kind of a new booker. Now, in some cases, those bookers are good people. In some cases, not really, for whatever the reason is. But and I know Hospitable has its own guest vetting process, which I haven't used and I'm not really familiar with it. But also because Hospitable integrates with Airbnb, it integrates with VRBO, and it also integrates with Booking.com. You guys now have a very powerful sort of a guest collection database. And based on pretty much even a phone number or an email address that is registered, you sort of already have the guest reputation. Will you be using AI to sort of do a kind of a cross-platform guest vetting, either based on, meaning Airbnb, if you want to see the guest history from Airbnb, you're pretty much locked into the Airbnb. But if that guest now moved over to Booking.com, I mean, guests don't have multiple profiles and OTAs, right? So when the guest moves into the Booking.com, then it just comes in, hey, this is a brand new guest, but pretty sure that guest has stayed somewhere. Is that part of the scope at all? No.
And more, maybe this is I don't know if you know a lot on it, but maybe a good opportunity to talk about AutoHost kind of integration piece as well, maybe.
Yeah, so that's what I was touching on. So Andrew, who is our director of product, and obviously he leads direct as well. He has been obviously wanting to bring guest vetting, guest verification to other platforms as well. So the idea is that within your inbox, you should be able, if you feel like a guest hasn't verified their profile or their chances of booking are low for whatever example, maybe this is their first booking with you, you can just send them like a form or a link where they can upload their ID proof, they can upload a selfie, and after they've done that, that's where they will receive the check-in instructions from you. So, and this is something that we are going to be bringing for all OTAs, be it Booking.com, Airbnb, or Vrbo. It's already available for direct, but yeah, that is something that we are thinking about. Again, it's going to be coming fairly soon, in fact, because I've actually seen the mock-ups. I know how it's going to work out, and you guys will be impressed when you see that as well. When it comes to things like we already, as I don't know if you've noticed this, but we already show you chances of booking for a guest based on whether they are new or not in the inbox. When it comes to recommending a guest for you, from what I have, like from the conversation that I have been so far, I think we are most likely to do that for direct first. So the idea would be, as a direct host, you can recommend a guest to other hosts. And if the guest is recommended, we are going to surface that information to other hosts as well within Hospitable, because direct data is something that we truly own. The data from other OTAs, we are going to be doing a bit of discovery to see whether that is data, that's something data that we can work with to essentially give you those insights. But if that's possible, then yes, it's going to come for other OTAs as well. But we are going to start with direct and then bringing it to other platforms.
Yeah, two additional like bits of insight there is that one, although we do have obviously access to a lot of guest information historically, there are a lot of guests out there, and the kind of sharing, let's say, of guests across platform or even within platform between hosts is actually very rare. Just the sheer number of stays and guests is orders of magnitude higher than the actual number of hosts. So there's actually a ceiling to the value of a feature like that across hosts and across platforms. Having said that, there's also a very real constraint. Anmol touched on that kind of briefly. There might be PII, so personal identifiable information, legal constraints that we simply cannot cross from the platforms, because the information is one, it's the guest's personally identifiable information, it's theirs, and there are laws in place for the control of PII, and two, the platform themselves might have restrictions in place for where that information can go once it reaches us.
Cool.
Understood. Thank you,
very
guys.
much, both. Sorry, and thank you very much, Shaw.
Thank you, Sean.
Appreciate the question there. So I think that's going to have to be it for live questions. Anmol, I noticed that you marked one in the Q&A. Did you want to quickly just address that before we end the session?
Yeah, I just wanted to know. So I saw a reply from Christopher. So Sun, I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. This is something that we're working towards. Yes, it will be possible for you to set messages to automatic mode. That's what we're calling inbox autoresponder actually. So the idea would be, if a question comes in from the guest, if there's just something along the lines of just thank you, your AI, that's again a personalized AI, would be able to say no thanks. Oh, sorry, no worries, or sure thing, or things like that. It would be able to answer questions on your behalf as well if you have set it that way. Again, we are going to give you the control. You can set it to answer questions between 9 p.m. till, I don't know, 5 a.m. or something, or you can just let it be and just auto reply. But yeah, I just wanted to touch upon that. So we are working towards building that.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Anmol. And thank you very much, Nick, as well. So thank you everyone for joining today. Hopefully you enjoyed today's Q&A. Look out for more of these events coming soon, and check out our town hall next Wednesday.
Yeah, thank you everyone for attending. And yeah, whenever you have questions, feedback, concerns about AI, either through support or through our feedback page, please do reach out. We do read all of it, and we look forward to it, honestly.
Yeah.
And thank you, Kevin, as well, for supporting us in the chat there. Sorry for the lack of call out. Yeah, thank you everyone. And Anmol's dropped the feedback link in the chat as well if you need that.
Thanks everyone.